This week, the Director for Public Prosecutions dropped all charges against the Rwenzururu King, Charles Wesley Mumbere, and 217 others, mainly his subjects, who have been in prison now for 7 years on charges of treason, murder, aggravated robbery, and several others. Now, the decision was reached after the accused applied for amnesty, which was granted, and this happened on Tuesday at the International Crimes Division of the High Court in Kampala. But since then, it has been celebrations and joy in the Western Rwenzururu Kingdom and all over Kasese as returnees reunited with their relatives, but of course majority of them had to face a harsh reality of returning to broken families. Some wives had been taken away by other men, and of course some of them, their properties had been sold off during the absence. We need to interrogate this matter, especially on the issue of amnesty in regard to the law, and that is why I need to connect with an expert. She is Miss Fiona Wall, and Fiona Wall is a Ugandan lawyer, former president of the Uganda Law Society, but she also served as a lecturer of law at Kampala International University. Miss Wall, let's go straight to the point, and you need to tell us from your experience. It was originally 232 people who were charged, 9 of them died in detention, and now 217, actually 218 have been granted amnesty. Do you think justice has been served?
First of all, spending 8 years on remand is a very big problem, but it's also a reflection of the criminal justice system. As we speak, we have over 35,000 prisoners on remand, and of these, we have people like these people who have spent 10, 16, 8 years before even ever coming into court. Yesterday, I think we heard that what I read in the news was that DPP had dropped charges, drawn, you know. Actually, what this means, either they don't have enough evidence to back their suspicions, or as you're calling it, amnesty. I'm not very well informed about the amnesty, but the one thing no is that when you arrest somebody, they still have rights. According to the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, somebody who's been put on remand, even remand has a limit, even for capital offense. And we need to look at, of course, the challenges that the DPP has, the understaffed, the CID department sometimes also has understaffing issues. But away from these, I think we need to look at the aspects of pre-trial detention and how it can be abused. It is not every crime that should be tried, that should have this kind of pre-trial detention. People have a right to bail. There were 200 and something soldiers, royal guards, and as you've said, yes, all these families have lost 8 years. The children have grown up without fathers, and these are serious community problems that are coming out, and they're coming out of it's a miscarriage of justice when you keep someone for 7 years and then you say, I'm withdrawing charges. We would like to know, why are they withdrawing charges? Is it that there's no, I know there's mention of amnesty, but what I've read is that they withdrew charges. I think that the beautiful thing with our courts and our laws is that these people can seek redress for the time they've lost, but these people are a representation of the 35,000 people in Luzira right now and other prisons who are on remand and have never gotten their day in court. And one of the biggest problems is that they do not have legal representation, some of them. And they don't have this legal representation because currently our legal aid bill has been on the shelves of Parliament for over 15 years. If there was a public defender system in Uganda, we just have the state briefs, but these are very, very limited. But if we had a proper public defender system, I think that people would not remain on remand this long. I think someone would have gone to court. This application they made, they would have gone to court much, much earlier and gotten the redress that they deserved. Of course, there are prisoners that are put in prison because of certain things like they're fearing terrorism or they're going to interfere with. But even these things in the law have limits. And the Human Rights Enforcement Act talks about things like torture. I think we saw some of the people that were tortured in the past at the beginning when they'd just been arrested. And the issue is who is held accountable. We need to have accountable officers. We need to have the DPP pulling up. It's late, but we applaud them because they've taken action. But we believe that the people that have been released have lost a lot, and if indeed they were released because there's not enough evidence or there's nothing that shows, and yet they've not gone through a full trial, they've never even had their day in court, then in my case it would be a miscarriage of justice, because they're going to go away with these criminal suspicions hanging over their heads. So what am I saying? We need a criminal justice system that is very clear. We need legal and officers of court and police and DPP committed to due process. I know that people think that the due process delays and everything, but at least you are backed by the law. You're going to give someone's son or someone's mother why their person was away for 7 years and they've still not had a trial, and you've just pulled your hands off and said we no longer are interested in the matter. A disrespect for the life of that person. And one of the things that we would be concerned about is these people for this, but there's so many people that disappear in the system. And when I was at the bar course, we went to Luzira, and a friend of mine discovered a cousin who had gotten lost 8 years ago. This young man had been collected. They were playing matatu in the street. He had been collected for idle and disorderly, but he was young. He was about 15, and he didn't know what to do. So he was at the remand home. Then he was taken to, when he hit 18, he was taken to the adult remand home, and that's where we found this young man. And his family had mourned him and long decided that he died. These are the realities we're living in. So we need the government. Yes, it is worrying, some of the priorities. I really think that the criminal justice system needs to be really looked into. And people that have been on remand longer than the statutory period, I believe that the DPP has done a good thing now. Can we also have them look at all the other cases?
We thank you so much for your time, Ms. Wall. But again, one last question. According to the law, like you said, remand has a limit. I think it is 6 months, I think. Do you know of anyone who has ever benefited from that provision? I mean, being remanded, and after 6 months they are late to go free, or in any case?
Yes, there are people who have benefited from that. Unfortunately, these are people who can afford their lawyers, who maybe have some political clout, or who even have, who put, should I say, who use the law. A lot of our people do not even have lawyers. They don't know where to find the lawyers. We have legal aid projects everywhere, but right now they've not been funded for a while. So funded, and I'm told some of them are even turning away people. But the issue is, if everybody had to allow lawyer was able to take this issue before a court of law, and the law says you should not hold someone beyond 6 months without them hearing, without them going to court, then this would have been resolved. Of course, I've said that there are practical realities to our situation. Sometimes a remand period goes because this man is in a remote prison, or the transportation is not there, the infrastructure is not there, the judges haven't sat. But we also need to maybe innovate a bit in the criminal justice system, because the criminal courts need, of course they have a huge backlog, but their backlog is interfered with commercial court cases and all these other things, because when you have sessions for family and other cases, they take precedence over these cases, over these criminal sessions and things like that.
Madam Ward, thank you so much. Our time is running out, but we thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for those, of course, very, very informative insights into